Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. This is an industry table talk with a depth group in collaboration with Harbor Breeze Cruises. I'll guess some more context about how this all came about. This all really honestly started out with Sheila. She has been going to quite a few conferences and she had told me about this potential collaboration. She said, hey, like there's these group of guys and they're having plans for zero emission boats, even though her specialty is more like hospitality and tourism. It's like, let me just bring you into this chat and see what you think. And through that conversation, I was pretty amazed to see like types of collaborations that can happen between, even if it's not like directly in a priority sector that you're thinking about, you see a lot of things that are similar or things that are happening. So once we had a conversation, I saw that a lot of people were wanting to meet employers and see like how do they create these plans? How do they think about having this idea of like zero emissions and like green technology? It seems such a like big topic nowadays, but like who are like the truest players like in this field and who's actually doing the work? And I got inspired also by the BCAT summits in Los Angeles that have been pretty amazing. So for me, it was a no-brainer to create something where we can have a dialogue and an opportunity to really learn about how people are doing this work and to ask like questions that you're not able to ask when, you're in a room full of like 20, 50 people and you only have like 2 minutes to really just make a connection with somebody. So this is how like the first and hopefully not last industry talk started. But I wanted to introduce Alex from Adept. So Alex was born and raised in San Francisco, and he went to UCLA for undergrad, but also he got his mechanical engineering degree in 2017. And from there, he also returned to work as a HVAC equipment manufacturer. And then from there, he was able to go back for his master's of engineering program at UCLA at the inaugural class. So that's pretty amazing, specifically in green energy systems. And so that pretty much inspired him to create this work, but also that's where he was able to like research, develop a lot of the things that he's been working on so far. And then also we have Kevin from Harbor Breeze Cruises. And yeah, I would say Kevin, he's been working there, I want to say around over 30 years, just experience in the hospitality and maritime space, of course. But he was also part of the recent launch of El Escudo. Hopefully, I'm saying that right, which is
Perfect.
essentially, say it again, sorry.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. But it's essentially the first 350 passenger zero emission uh, company flagship that's going to be released near like the 2028 games, but essentially helping out with maritime experiences and within sustainable water transit. Um, but yeah, let's just get started. And I think Alex is up first.
We
We
may have
switched it up on you, Daniel.
we
We
switched
Okay.
it
throwing a
last
Oh
curve.
minute.
gosh.
Oh, it's all
No
good.
worries.
Well, first of all, Daniel, thanks for the intro, and thanks everybody for being here. And I will underscore one of the things that Daniel shared, speaking for both myself and Alex, is have really appreciated with Sheila and all the other conversations we have had the collaboration about how we actually come together, in Danny's words, who's the founder of the company, to give back to the community. So excited to share with you what Harbor Breeze is working on currently, and then how it ties into Adept. And I will share with you, we can't do what we do without incredible partners like Adept, as well as the other incredible partners that help us get this amazing project to the finish line. So I am hopeful that on this call somewhere, someone has a brilliant idea and says, "Oh my gosh, we ought to be thinking about this, or this," because again, we have the total philosophy that the rising tide floats all boats. So we want to make sure that we're doing our best to give back to the community. So for those of you that don't know the Harbor Breeze story, this is a small family-owned, family-run business in the Long Beach, San Pedro area. I've been operating since 2000, 2002. It's a fleet of 8 vessels, and it's been a pretty amazing journey. Literally, a gentleman that started working on the water when he was 12 and 14. And at one point, around that age, saw his first whale and said, "Oh my gosh, everybody in the world should see a whale," and decided to build a company on that premise. So It's really a unique story, and it kind of ends with why we're here today. And this is again not the end, but kind of the middle step. And that's the next slide, Alex, is Danny took a huge risk with great partners and launched the first ever parallel hybrid on the West Coast called the El Escudo. And so this is a short little sneak peek of what that boat looks like.
Just so everybody knows, that was not AI. That's a real boat. It's a real boat in the water.
It's a real boat. So the boat was built up in Bellingham, Washington. Washington, that's right outside of Bellingham during some of the sea trials. So a little bit more about Harbor Breeze. That is the fearless leader, Captain Danny Salas. Like I said, been around since the early 2000s, family owned, family operated, operating currently from two locations in Rainbow Harbor and Long Beach, and then in San Pedro in what's going to be newly opening the West Harbor project. So a multi-million dollar redevelopment project right at the base of San Pedro that's going to be absolutely spectacular. And Danny is it's a community driven business. So most of his employees are Long Beach and Pedro and kind of the peripheral area residents. Services about 200,000 guests annually, 8 boats. This will be the El School will be number 9. Um, and, Danny's big goal has been about building for the future. The main kind of services that the company provides are whale watching, port tours, harbor tours, camp trips, educational stuff, and then all kinds of special events. But the El Escudo really became the flag that Danny wanted to plant in terms of what the future could look like. So, Alex, we'll jump to the next slide. So this is the boat. You saw it on video. So she is actually in the port. So she is actually right now in San Pedro. She got there May 25th. So she is transited down. We're still going through the rest of all the sea trial fund that goes in with something with this kind of emerging technology. But it's really an amazing story. So this boat will have 4 operating modes: a full diesel, a full electric, which is the zero emission, underway charging, and then shoreside charging. So literally the if you want to call it the headline, is this boat can do an hour and a half tour of the port on essentially an emissions-free mode. So that's something that's never been done before. And you can see on this slide a lot of the technical pieces that go into making that happen. Now, I wanted to pause here really quickly because while this boat is a really amazing piece of technology, Danny has been really clear, and that's kind of part of the reason why we're here today chatting with all of you folks, that he really sees this boat as kind of a three-legged stool. The first leg is about education. Danny recognizes and wants to see that kids get a firsthand look. This is, in his opinion, this is a great resource for kids of all ages to come down and see what the future of marine technology looks like. So, you don't have to think about it or read about it in a book. You can touch it, feel it. You can actually see the thing working in action. The second piece is he wants to make it accessible to as many folks as possible, again, to show them where the future is headed, and how, again, they can develop that into, and Sheila and I and plenty of others have been having conversations about getting people at all levels educated about that this is here. And then there's a couple more coming. And so again, getting people aware that this is a tool that we can use from an educational standpoint. And then the last piece is really on the workforce development side, and that is that this boat, I'm going to quote Danny. Right now, there's a 14 or 15-year-old kid in San Pedro or Long Beach or somewhere in the community that's trying to figure out what they want to do with their life. We want them to understand that they may have a future in the maritime space, especially in a maritime space that's evolving from a technology standpoint. So, while the boat is this amazing asset, Danny has also driven home that there's really 3 huge things we have to accomplish with the boat, not just the fact that it's going to be busy doing stuff. So, just want to touch on that before we move on to the next slide. The important thing here, and this again is not a novel concept, but the opportunity to get something like this to the finish line through a public-private coalition. Having the funding partners and the funding resources and everybody on this list in terms of the technology resources, adept included, for how you actually bring something that is a vision to life. So you'll see the various funding partners that we have, and again, they've been absolutely fabulous in this entire process. I'll stay away from the technical side on propulsion and systems. Alex can speak better to that. But again, a lot of different pieces that are coming together. As mentioned, we built the boat up in Bellingham, Washington. Um, and, as shared, this is a great model for how you make something like this happen because there is a tiny bit of risk involved. And so for a small family-run business to take that risk all on their own, that's pretty challenging. So Harbor Breeze got really, really fortunate to have the partners they did that helped them get this boat to the finish line. So we'll go to the next slide, Alex. So uh, this is not a one of one, as we have shared with lots of people. There are two more builds coming right behind it. They'll look a little bit different. They'll be a different size and different capacity, but they are also going to be hybrids. And as we have shared with folks, this is not a demonstration project in that, 5, 10 years from now, look, there's 3 hybrid boats in the Long Beach, area or San Pedro area. This is where the technology is headed. So Danny has planted the flag and said, I want to be the first out of the gate, again, because I want us to be first in this area, but also I want to give something back to the community. But our goal is by the time 2028 gets here, and of course, we all know we've got this amazing Olympic opportunity that we're all faced with in less than 24 months, that we've got a fleet of 3 hybrid vessels that can help the community in any way they can to service those games and all the different things that'll be happening. So Escudo is here. She'll be doing things in the next month and then moving forward. And then by 2027, we'll have a second boat. And then by early 2028, January 2028, there'll be a third boat in service. So this is really kind of I would say the heart of what we wanted to talk about, and that is, as we were having discussions about the boat itself and what it means to the community, the second thing we realized is a need for us to educate folks on the different paths to careers that you can have here and the different paths you can have from a education standpoint. So what we've kind of listed here are just the kind of the ecosystem that goes out with a hybrid type of vessel, and the different paths that someone can take in terms of career opportunities or dipping their toe in the water of, hey, is this something I'd like to do? And as you can kind of tell, there is a kind of a larger circle around the boat immediately because it's not just an electric boat. You have an entire infrastructure, and Alex will get into that a little bit more detail on the shore side that goes into actually charging that. So again, you have not only how you're handling how the boat operates, but how do you make sure that the infrastructure on the land side is operating the way it's supposed to. So as you can kind of tell here, it's everything at its most basic from, hey, the captains, the guys that drive the boat, the engineering teams, deckhands and crew. Again, you get into the infrastructure, the technology pieces, and obviously the maintenance. And I think the example that we've given to folks that seems to most resonate is, we equate it to like automobiles, that if you took your car, 15 years ago to a mechanic, chances are the first thing they were pulling out was, a toolbox and tools and et cetera. This is a boat that, if you're going to have it serviced, whoever you're having it serviced by, the first thing they show up with, just like cars these days, is the laptop. So it's a different skill set, different technology requirement. So again, we are raising our hand to anybody that'll listen to say, how do we help build that, build those paths for people to develop those skills so we can have those folks, again, that 14-year-old kid that's trying to figure out what he wants to do. Maybe he wants to be a technical engineer on a really fun boat that has all the electrical components to it. So we want to work with folks who can help us get that to the finish line and give that opportunity back to someone in the community. So Alex, I think we've got just a few more here. So again, kind of to wrap it up here, super excited to be here with all you folks. Super excited to share this boat and share again the future of what's coming, right behind it. It's awesome to be able to, eventually turn this boat on and be able to do an hour and a half harbor tour of San Pedro or Long Beach in, basically zero emission mode. We're super excited by that. Also, the boat is built as a kind of multi-experience platform. So whether it's doing a port tour, educational trips, whether it's a living classroom, it gives people at all levels and at all places the opportunity to engage firsthand with, hey, this is real. Yes, it was a corporate event or it was my corporate holiday party, but guess what? We did it on this boat because of the technology it represents, and that gets more people educated about what's available and out there right now. So really excited about the boat, really excited about where Harbor Breeze is headed in the future, and most excited about being able to share this with you guys. And, this is kind of I wouldn't say ask, but this is kind of where we're at saying, hey, we're looking for assistants, partners, collaborators on how do we keep sharing the message? How do we keep using megaphones to get this information out there? How do we keep developing pathways? Again, we're already exploring these, but are there other pathways we can look at to developing educational or workforce opportunities? Um, and then again, we think these three boats are a great statement for California and Los Angeles region when we come to showcasing these mega events and what California offers in terms of sustainability as we support all these different kind of initiatives that are coming to our area. So I think you guys will probably have access to emails or phone numbers, I'm sure, Daniel. But again, we just are thrilled that we're expanding the net here to have the conversation a little bit bigger, and would welcome any, thoughts, comments, ideas, concepts, just anything at all. We are, again, trying to use every megaphone we can to get the message out there. So I will stop there and turn it over to the expert and let Alex take it from here.
The expert, that's generous. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. I mean, that's kind of why we as the Adept group got together with Harbor Breeze and Danny, is just that passion and vision for um, just building a zero emissions ecosystem around the maritime industry, whether that's in excursion or other vessels. That's what kind of got us excited. A little bit about us. We are an environmental consulting group. We do a lot of work with UCLA, as in we take capstone projects from the engineering school, and we try to put them together with real industry projects. We put together a memorandum of understanding between UCLA and the Port of LA to work on projects of common interest. And we put all our focus into the zero emissions transition, whether that's in the maritime space or cargo handling equipment or drayage trucks or just, the energy transition is very exciting, and that's what we focus on. So, um, you know, Kevin talked a lot about this. This is the El Escudo. I'm going to talk a little bit more technically, like a little bit in the weeds for anyone that's excited, because Daniel said there may be some engineers, and even if not, um, I'm I'm excited about the way this vessel works, how the design is unique, and that's it really is cutting edge. And the next vessel will have a lot of similarities, but it will be different in its own right, and that's exciting too. So the next two, as Kevin talked about, this first vessel is here, 350 passenger, just arrived, and the next two are planned to be higher speed catamarans arriving in the next couple of years, with come with their own exciting new designs. So, real quick, in the propulsion section here, this is kind of a little bit of a graphic on how different vessels can be designed. This is the sort of high level way to do propulsion for a hybrid. You can either have a diesel generator that essentially charges up a battery and then delivers the electrical power to an electric motor. Um, or you can actually have a battery that connects to an electric motor and then have the diesel engine actually connect to the shaft and drive propulsion as well. And so to do that, you have to have what's called a gearbox, or in this case, a reduction gear. So these are the two high level differences in design, and the El Escudo implemented the parallel hybrid configuration, which comes with efficiencies in terms of electrical efficiencies. You're not using a diesel generator to charge a battery, you're actually using the diesel engine to go directly into propulsion, which is the traditional way of running a vessel. And so, each vessel has a different operating profile. And so each design is, it's case by case as to how you apply this design principle to what you're trying to achieve with the vessel. And that's part of the exciting thing, that we want to take the lessons learned from the El Escudo. We want to see what worked and what didn't, and kind of distill it, and then see if any of you guys can get involved and have a great idea, like Kevin said, to make it better. So the other highly advanced part of this vessel, which is brand new to the maritime space, is a diesel particulate filter, which has come to the drayage and trucking industry. Almost all, I think, basically all trucks going in and out of the port of LA have these diesel particulate filters. And so what they do is they capture that, as the name conveys, they capture that fine particulate matter, um, and don't let it get emitted. But in the vessel space, it becomes a bigger challenge because you have confined area, and you have to make sure that filter doesn't get clogged because of your risk of fire. And that's another advanced feature that is coming to the maritime space to greatly improve emissions. It's a 98% reduction in diesel particulate emissions, which are, highly harmful, and have affected the community for decades. And so it's super exciting to see it applied, and it's going to be a process of learning how it works in El Escudo and how we can make it better and safer. A couple other um, features of the engine are just sort of more standard, and this is very in the weeds, but I wanted to share it just for people that are excited and can ask questions later, right? We wanted to make sure we covered all of it. So you also have catalytic reduction, which is your catalytic converter, which are in normal cars, and then they'll recirculate the exhaust gas to increase efficiency. So yeah, this is a Tier 4 engine, they call it, which is EPA certification as the cleanest diesel engine on the market. But it's actually even better than that with the addition of the DPF, which is not required by EPA, right? We are leading the way in California, as we always have, with the California Air Resources Board pushing hovercraft to be as clean as possible. And then on top of that, having the hybrid capability. And so that's the vessel side. Um, Equally as important, which is often forgot about, is the charging stations because they're not quite as flashy. But that's what we're excited about because we get to take, basically we get to take a lot of the learning from the EV world, and a lot of manufacturers are doing vessel charging stations now, like how you would have your roadside charging. They're also building um, charging, ports for that can go on docks, and it's not very many manufacturers. We're still at the beginning stages of that, but um, that's sort of the other frontier. And so here's sort of the map of the public vessel charging sites that Harbor Breeze has in construction and planned. West Harbor over at A is, we have the design drawings there. That is already the construction has already started on the land, and the docks are almost done. So super excited if you ever go over to the West Harbor. It's somewhat of a construction site now, but they still have the promenade basically built, so you can go walk over there, and there's the fish market, and kind of see how it's progressing. And eventually there will be a charging station there, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that will look like, on the technical side. But you also have Rainbow Harbor over in Long Beach, which Harbor Breeze already operates out of, and then a third one over at Belmont Pier, where there are Olympic Games events as well. And the Marine Bureau of Long Beach is revamping this pier and intending to put docks on these. They're called dolphins. These are like little pylons that you can attach docks to. And what we want to do is add charging stations, right? Like just how you go to, um, a grocery store or the mall, and you've got charging stations for your car. We need to have that on docks. We need to have that for not just Harbor Breeze, but for other vessels that are coming online. So that's the vision, and that's kind of where this synergy has been with the Adept Group and with Harbor Breeze, because Harbor Breeze is on the forefront of the vessels, and they can only do so much. They're already every time I talk to Kevin, he's doing something, and so we're able to achieve more when we kind of put together and just basically expand. So here's just a little reminder about the Olympics and how, all the events are really centered around these locations where we are having charging stations, which is super exciting. And um, yeah, there's just a huge opportunity for LA 28 and beyond once this service is established. So here's a little bit more in the weeds about, for the engineers about what it takes. You've got what's called a power unit, which essentially takes in the electricity from the grid, and what it does is can transforms it to DC, steps up the voltage, so you can have these satellite ports on the docks actually to deliver. And so the plan over at West Harbor is to have um, two that are more dedicated to Harbor Breeze's vessel because actually this vessel design has a split battery room. There's two battery rooms, meaning that um, you're gonna charge it with two cables because that's just the size of the battery and how much power that's required. I mean, it's a massive vessel, um, and so you have to have double the charging, which means it can charge up to 600 kilowatts at a time, which is pretty incredible. I think for cars, you're at like 90 kilowatts max, maybe 100 kilowatts if you're fast charging your Tesla. Um, so yeah, that's just sort of the scale that we're talking about. And it also, you know, speaks to the challenge, right, of the amount of power that's required for these vessels is and the challenge of getting that infrastructure all the way out to the water is more difficult inherently than doing it in the parking lot. Um, so that's the challenge we face, but it allows for cool stuff like these vessels. So similar arrangement over at Rainbow Harbor, um, just so everybody can see, and then down at Belmont Pier, um, this is the plan there. So yeah, that pretty much covers the technical side of the project, in terms of in the weeds with the vessel, in the weeds with the charging station. If that piques anyone's interest as engineers or non-engineers on the call, we'd love to talk more and see what you guys can contribute. So I had some additional slides, but I think we want to focus on Harbor Breeze. I'll go ahead and skip these because I don't want to go over time, but we'll share the slides. And our group is working on a number of other port technologies. Here's sort of like a map. We're working at cargo handling. We're working on microgrids. We're working on ZE trucks, and we're even working on floating a floating barge that can generate clean power and then be used to charge the vessel and other vessels. So we're lucky to work on pretty cool stuff. Harbor Breeze is, you know, like I said, at the forefront, and um, they're doing it. They're as advanced as anybody in the port, and so super thankful to be involved. Um, and yeah, I'll just go to questions.
Well, first of all, Alex, you're being like a little too kind to Harbor Breeze. Again, I can't emphasize enough. We don't get this to the finish line without Alex and his team. And that last slide that just showed, I think, is really mission critical because as we have chatted with people about the boat, you start to realize that there are all the pieces that Alex and his team are touching, right? So that sustainable discussion or the sustainable topic is not just limited to the El Escudo. There's multiple pieces that are happening in real time. So um, I think, that's a really critical thing for all of us to understand. And then the last thing I would offer is, as Alex showed all of the charging, is we are putting in charging, or we are electing the West Harbor charging is happening. So that tunnel's been dug. We're in the process of doing it. We are trying to get to a finish line on what you see on this map as B and C. But what's important for us is for all three of these chargings, these are not Harbor Breezes things. We are uh, on the tip of the spear. We're figuring out how to get it done and working with the right partners. But the goal is, again, as these electric fleets become more and more commonplace, for example, B, that dock is where the Long Beach Transit program runs. This amazing program that is the Aquabus and the Aqualink. And if that agency were to decide to, go to an electric fleet, they should have access to charging. So, hey, let's kill two birds with one stone and have that put there in case that, becomes an option down the road. So, The other thing I would offer as we think about this is this public charging is not just to handle the Harbor Breeze fleet, but also what the future is going to look like as more electric vessels come online in this area. So
100%. Yep. We're seeing it with multiple vessel operators, with local companies. There's a company called Arc Boats that is building recreational vessels over in Torrance. Bunch of SpaceX engineers doing electric boats. So super cool, and they're not alone. Um, it's kind of feels like it's just like a cresting wave because it kind of came around a few years ago, and these vessels take a long time to build. And so, I think pretty soon here you're gonna look out and there'll be some electric boats out in the water, some hybrids, some electric boats, and it'll just kind of grow from there. Because in a lot of ways, there's benefits to electrification of vessels um, that aren't there for the automotive industry, as in like genuine let's say operational benefits, especially within a harbor, right? Like how Kevin said, you have the ability to do an hour and a half on fully um, zero emissions electric cruising. That means that you don't have to pay for diesel during that time. And boats, they go back to their dock a lot more often. They're going out and they're coming back, and that means that they can charge at different times. So it's just a different profile. For vessels, especially harbor vessels, um, than for your car. When you want to take a long road trip, it's challenging in your EV. But I think there's just a lot of opportunity here, and so I think people are catching on. I think that's it for me.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing so much of the technical side, but also on the operator side. It's pretty amazing to see for more on the commercial end how it's happening right now and then where it will be, but also on the technical side, how much knowledge it took to even get to that point. And it really shows how circular this whole industry is, that it's not really just based on one idea, it's multiple ideas at the same time. I wanted to start off with some questions and I wanted to like give more like a brainstorming question as well. Um, just for like more like the future as well. And let's just say like there's a student, there's no maritime background. They're just really interested in learning about this field. What's in your opinion, either you, Kevin, or Alex, um, what's a realistic first step if you're someone with no maritime background? And yeah, what would be a good step for them to get training? Like, what would that look like for you if you were just somebody who you just want to learn and you want to get in the weeds somehow. You want to get in this field somehow. What would be the good first step for them?
yeah, that's a great question. Um, I look at kind of a parallel to my own career path. I started with a small company that, again, family operated. This is way back long ago, but it gave me the opportunity. I started at basically, I'll call it the deck plates, the real base level, but it gave me a chance to understand the company and really understand the industry. So for a student that's out there trying to figure out what they want to do, hey, you know what? Just apply to be what we call a deckhand. It's essentially a part of the marine crew that makes sure the boat runs, and you have some guest service, exposure in terms of dealing with guests. But it gives you the opportunity just to see, like, okay, is this something that I like? Do I like actually this industry? Do I like how this kind of wheel spins? Harbor Breeze is one of many companies, so there's a lot of maritime operations out there. So I think just starting at word one of like, hey, I just want to see if I work, working on the boats. Do I like this? Oh my gosh, this really intrigues me. And then with a lot of small companies, you do find your way that you can say, hey, as I start looking at career paths and what do I want to do A, B, or C, I think again you have the opportunity to do that as you get to learn a little bit more of the company. So it should not be intimidating for anybody. We have again a lot of local young folks that work for us, and our general manager right now started with the company 17 years ago. She started in a ticket booth and worked her way up, and she's absolutely incredible. So those stories are all throughout Harbor Breeze. So someone that's interested to figure out if, oh my gosh, is the marine hospitality a space for me? Put in an application. Let's get you on a boat and see if you like what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is first thing is probably go on the boat. Go out in the harbor and see if you love it. I mean, we met Danny on his boat. We met on a tour. It was a port tour, and that was several years ago, and that kind of kicked it all off. But yeah, I think it's a good question, and it's also part of what we are doing here today, and start trying to make happen with this collaboration with Lark and community colleges, with this opportunity and El Escudo, is that yeah, you can go out there on the boat, and that's a great first step. But we also have to find a way to build some curriculum around all this technology and try to introduce some of the learnings into your community colleges, into, you know, how what is this parallel hybrid? What is this series? How is that different? What does it take to build shoreside charging? How is that different from automotive? And so we haven't figured it all out yet, but I think we got the people here to do it, and we have the impetus. So yeah,
Perfect. Yeah, I think as someone who has done that before, they didn't really have necessarily the right experience. They just kind of like made experience for themselves.
Mhm.
We actually have a question in the chat that is pretty similar to what we just talked about. So we have Marilyn Vilma. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But she's an electrical engineering student who wants to work on shore power and vessel electrification. What skills will make her stand out for the specific work as a beginner?
I guess I could take that one. Super cool. Thank you, Marilyn. I am a mechanical engineer, and I wish I was an electrical engineer, because now I just have to pretend like I know about, you know, three-phase power. Um, so I would say what skills as a beginner, I think just I mean, I think you're really in good shape with the fundamentals of electrical engineering and three-phase power. Learning about, on the shore side, learning about as much as you can, the ways that utilities operate, the ways that they, you know, sort of the standard practices of this transformer and this substation and panel. You know, a lot of it is really just how does the utility and how does the industry work when you need to set up a new electrical service, right? And people, you have to really get in the weeds with the utility there, because they drive a lot of this, right? Whether there's just two utilities here, it's either LADWP or it's SoCal Edison. And so learning how they do things will really give you a leg up, because people, you know, that it's a tough sector to like really understand, and it's kind of boring. People don't want to learn about how the utilities file paperwork and get substations built. But if you can do that, you'll be way ahead. Um, and then I don't, on the vessel side, I'm not sure. Kevin, anything on the vessel side? I mean, there's so much that goes into the design of the electrical system, and there's a few companies such as ABB, um, that are on the forefront. So
Yeah, no, I think Alex, thanks. I think you realize you just hit the nail on the head. I think Maryland, you realize that it's not Harbor Breeze doesn't get to this finish line alone, right? There's a lot of partners that go into this, so I think we can also help be the conduit to connect folks that are interested with those partners that to see if there's there. I think the my initial thing, Maryland, was um, you know, send us an email and let's have you down see the boat and see what all this stuff looks like in real time. I mean, it's really, again, I come back to some basic blocking and tackling, and that's been the owner Danny's commitment is how do we get this happening sooner rather than later. So I think Alex, you hit the nail on the head. I would just expand it to Maryland. If it makes sense, let us know and we can show you what the thing looks like in real time. And you can ask some questions to some really smart people that know the boat better than I do. And I'm sure Daniel Maryland asked, can we send a note out with our emails to all the folks?
Yeah, I'll send that after our call, and we'll also attach the recording of the video as well. So in case anyone missed out on the more technical side of it all, they'll have it all there. We do have another question as well from Ferris Kawar. He said, love the purpose, built boats. but is it possible to electrify existing gas and diesel boats since the cost is so high for newly designed boats? What are the restrictions?
I would love to tell you I'm an expert to answer that question. I am not, Ferris. That's a really, really good question. You hit the nail on the head. It would be really, really challenging just because of everything that goes into it's not just swapping out an engine, but as Alex kind of pointed out, there's a massive amount of infrastructure that happens. I'm just thinking of the rest of the fleet. If any of you guys are familiar with the California Resources Board and the regulations they tie to the commercial marine industry, so we're uh, focused mainly on some of the aftermarket stuff as well as the type of tier technology on the main engines. But I wish I had a better answer for you, Ferris. That's just not the direction that Danny chose. Um, uh, I mean, Alex, I
Yeah.
don't know if you add anything to that.
So, yeah, we haven't had the chance to really do it in terms of seeing a full repower through. I mean, repowers have been commonplace, and by that I mean taking the old diesel engine and upgrading it to a new diesel engine has been commonplace in the vessel industry for a while now, as CARB has been requiring higher tier engines. But um, yeah, I wish it was easier and less expensive to convert diesel to hybrid or full electric. Unfortunately, just what we've seen, we went through at least one full design process with a tugboat, for example, where this was a diesel tugboat, and let's see what it takes to make it fully electric, right? And a lot of the hull and the design of the hull caused restrictions in terms of where do you put the battery, how does the weight distribute, right? A lot of the naval architecture is dependent on where that center of mass is and center of buoyancy, and it totally changes with batteries distributed throughout, and it's definitely possible. It just comes down to is that, how does that make it worth it with maybe a hole that's 20 years old, maybe just better to build a new boat. So I'd say there's definitely cases where a vessel repower can make sense. It actually just doesn't seem to be as prevalent as we want it to be. But a great question.
Perfect. I do see we have a
Wanted to
hand
say thanks
raised.
for
Oh,
that.
sorry.
No, I just want to say thanks for that answer. And I was actually just happened to be in Long Beach last Tuesday, and got to see that new boat pulling in. I think it maybe had come the day before from Bellingham, and it was pretty cool to see. So I'm I'm excited to see more. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Ferris.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. We do have Marvin DaCosta. He has his hand raised. If you would like to ask your question, go ahead.
Hi. So yeah, I'm Marvin DeCosta. I'm from LA Trade Tech College. So we're definitely interested in probably help with the development of curriculum because that's one of the things that we do as well. We all work with a lot of industry partners, and we already work with CARB. So we do go down the docks as far as the lifts, just different machinery we already have down there. But we have programs in alternative fuel programs, heavy duty vehicle as well as rail programs. So I'm seeing a lot of the stuff that we do in the rail program as well as our heavy duty program within my department actually coincides with a lot of things that have been done in the marine side. So we're definitely interested in probably building a partnership or help out build out curriculum so we can make sure we have, I guess, enough technicians to work on the vehicles down there.
Yeah.
But in addition to my department, we do have a construction related program, electrical, plumbing, so the whole gamut of construction trades as well. So I'm pretty sure my department as well as our construction department is probably very willing to see what we can do as far as partnerships.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Marvin. That's phenomenal. Love it.
Marvin, good to see you again.
Good to
We
see you.
met. Yeah, we met at a BCAP event. I'm
Yes.
glad to see you. We got to reconnect.
Oh, definitely.
Give me a call.
Perfect. I think it was Stephanie Suarez.
Hi, good morning. I was going to say good afternoon, but not quite yet. Thank you so much for this presentation. It's very informative. My name is Stephanie Suarez. I'm a workforce development manager at Long Beach City College. And we have a Maritime Center of Excellence here at LBCC in partnership with the Port of Long Beach. And we just had a conversation with the port yesterday about how we can enhance our trainings so that they're more responsive to industry needs. So this all seems very timing. I would love to stay connected so that we can explore opportunities to partner. We currently offer short trainings in logistics and CDL. We, not right now, but in the past, we had offered dispatching for logistics training. So we have a lot of, we've done a lot of previous work in this sector. So I would love to stay in touch to explore opportunities to partner. I can go ahead and drop my contact information in the chat, but I'd love to stay connected.
That would be awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have some more questions in the chat as well. We do have Calum Coates, and they had asked, what topics or certifications should I look into if I am pursuing to be a deck officer position for this evolving industry?
Well, this is the great news, Calum. There is no gating item. So you literally just apply, and probably the single most important thing is the kind of accumulation of sea time. So you get on a boat, you start at, whatever level you're at, and you just kind of again accrue the sea time to figure out is this something you like doing, and then as you do that, that sea time adds up, and then that ties into different types of accreditations that you can get. So that's really, I think, one of the kind of the unknown or probably most unshared factors is it's a career that you can start from the jump and then again figure out where you want to go. So I probably shouldn't do this, but it's www dot 2cwales, the number 2cwales.com, a careers page. So literally you could either email me your information or go to and apply online, but you could literally start within a week or two.
Yeah, and one other thing to add, just in terms of, the evolving industry is it's not all in place, right? The certifications for this electrical transition, this energy transition in the maritime space, but with all the safety protocols that can be ported over from automotive. There's stuff like NFPA 70E, which is focuses on electrical safety in the workplace. There's definitely going to be certifications. If you look around just on, starting from the automotive industry, they have all the standards and certifications for building charging stations and connections there. And I think that would be a great place to start because that's where this work is going to start is with those EV certifications and how they can be applied to the marine space.
Perfect. And I think we had one question as well from Natalie Perez. Uh, she said, is there a required workforce development deliverable on the shift demonstration slide?
I don't know. I have to get back to you on that. I don't know. Alex, do you know off the top of your head?
No, I'm sorry, no.
Sorry.
No worries at all. I was just wondering, I'm actually working on a different shift demonstration project for zero-emission autonomous aviation. And we are doing some workforce pieces. So I was just wondering if there was any overlap or discussions we could have there.
Natalie, we have our CEO is very excited about zero emissions and autonomous aviation. We should definitely talk about that. My
All right,
email's in the chat.
great. I'll drop mine as well. And I'm with the Foundation for California Community Colleges, so I'm happy to
Awesome.
make questions there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Perfect. Is there any more questions anyone wanted to ask live? We have about 6 more minutes left.
I have one quick question. It's a much broader thing because I'm not a technical person. This is Sheila. So I'm curious to know, and I know when you did all the development and all the R&D for this fabulous project, are there any projections on, and this might be like a magic crystal ball, so we're not going to hold you to it, even though we're being recorded. You can just speak freely. Any projections on how many years or what kind of time frame for as close to possible as a completely electrified port, or maybe even a partial one?
Oh, Sheila, you're asking a really hard question. Alex, I don't know if you have an answer to that. I wouldn't even hazard a guess. I mean, again, our we'll have let's do a percentage. 25% of our fleet will be operating on a hybrid electric mode by 2028.
Mm-hmm.
As Alex pointed out, there's already other electric different types of things. I mean, we've got someone we work with in West Harbor that's going to be introducing electric jet skis. So I think, it's going to come in all shapes and sizes, but I think it's going to be here before we know it. I just, my analogy is always the roads, and I swear I feel like every time I drive up the five, I see way more electric or hybrid vehicles than I see just not. So, as Alex pointed out, we're all experiencing it firsthand, but the price of diesel is over 2x what it was in December. So we all do that when we have, we go pay at the pump. So,
So
beyond, go ahead,
go ahead,
Alex.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
The question was projections on like the electrification of vessels and how we see it in over the next couple of years. Sorry, I
Next
kind of
couple years, next, 20, 25. It's like I think about the
20
California.
years. That's
Yeah,
almost as old as me.
I
I
know, but
don't
I
think
mean,
I'm
think
allowed
about
to
the
make
California.
projections that are
Yeah, no, I'm not asking you to
um
tell the future. I'm just saying with the momentum and with
yeah,
all of this happening, it's an exciting time. So, we as a builder of a workforce, we can be responsive, and
yeah.
that's what's really cool about this whole project. So I'm
I
just
do have
thrilled to be on the call. Thank you guys so much.
no, it's a good question. I do have some thoughts on that from like the seeing the technical challenges. I think uh batteries are the energy density is still not quite there for longer trips, right? For vessels that need to be out there for a very long time. Fossil fuels have a lot contain a lot of energy, and you can store a couple thousand gallons on board. Batteries just aren't there yet. Alternative fuels such as CNG, possibly hydrogen, just they introduce a lot more complexity. So I think the hard part with the maritime space is that the variability of, how far a vessel goes, right? And the sizes are just astronomically different, right? You have
Mhm.
dinghies, you have 350 passenger boats, you got catamarans, and then you got, ocean going vessels. And so each profile is going to have a different um, set of requirements and a different technology that's suited for it. So in terms of like building a workforce, I think focusing on like a particular vessel class rather than trying to cover the entire maritime industry is important. And this vessel class of, let's say, small, like 100 passenger, maybe a tugboat up to the El Escudo, is the class where it's going to be somewhat local, and you're going to have batteries and engines that I think will go together. And I think hybrid is for this size vessel. I think hybrid is going to be the most what you're going to see in the near term, which can uh, reduce emissions drastically. Even though you still have a diesel engine in there, you're gonna be able to cut emissions by sometimes half, depending on the duty cycle, and that's a huge improvement. And so that's what you'll see in the meantime as energy density for other alternative fuels, and then hopefully maybe batteries gets improved. But yeah, it's hard to say long term because what was it 15 years ago we didn't battery energy density wasn't there yet. So um, yeah, great question. Thank you.
Cool, thanks. Um,
Perfect. I know we're near time, but thank you so much to Kevin and Alex for just taking the time to interact with us, showing us more about the in-depth experience and just research that's out there in terms of this field. And it's growing. And it's obviously going to grow even more when we talk about the next 20 20, 30 years. Actually, in my trip to Portugal, I actually had the experience on going on my first zero emission, fully electrified boat in Lisbon and going between two islands. And I was able to see just how cultural it is as well, electrification for a city as old as Lisbon, that they're introducing this as part of their maritime, where there's even economies attached to like convenience stores, restaurants. And on the other side was this beautiful restaurant where you need to go see a sunset as well. And there's just a diner, there's this other thing, this is lifts to go to the park. It all connects ultimately. And it just shows that having that ability as well to bring that to Los Angeles would be an even greater beneficial for not just for the economy, but for the students as well. But yes, thank you so much. And it looks like you guys already shared your emails in the chat as well to the people who were asked. But we will be sharing those afterwards with an attachment of the call and perhaps maybe in the PDF as well, depending if you guys want to ask certain things. So people can like look through and ask more questions. But this will be not the last tabletop we will have, but we also welcome you guys to email Alex and Kevin in terms of any opportunities as well. I know we're all working on our different grant opportunities, but if there is a good fit between all of us all together, we could bring more jobs and employment for students at the CCs. So thank you so much for on the hand of Lark as well for being here, and we'll see you guys at the next one. Thank you guys.
Thanks, everybody. Bye
Thanks
all.
so much, Daniel, for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
This is great.
Thank you guys.